Hey everybody, welcome once again to our AI4I AMA live sessions where myself, Ishan, we're going through your questions, you're going through your concept problems, you're having difficulty with any of the topics in the course, AI for industry. That's what we're here for today. Okay, and also just to hang out and connect with your fellow. Okay, and also just to hang out and connect with your fellow. Oops. Give me a second. All right. Yep. So, welcome everybody. Today we have just one question for now. It is about the optional arguments in a function. This is a Python question. We'll start off with just going through the question, and then later on we'll go through whatever questions you guys have in the chat. If you have any questions in the chat, just put them right in the YouTube chat. If you're watching from Discord or you're watching from the forum, please make sure you click on the link in the YouTube and you can join us in the YouTube chat. So once again, let's start off with the first question. Pretty simple. But of course, when you're new to programming, everything simple is difficult as well. So let's check out the first question. What are the optional arguments to the function? Okay. So here it says there is this function, and the question is asking us what are the optional arguments. This is what we call a function signature. So a function signature is basically where you get to understand what are the inputs to the function, what are the possible inputs to a Python function. So we know that there are 4 possible inputs. First one is called R1, second one is Q, third one is P, and the fourth one is R2, right? Because they are separated by commas, right? The function name is here, then we have the parenthesis, close parenthesis. Inside we have the inputs to the function, i.e. the arguments to the function. So, and each argument, each input is separated by commas. So we have 1 comma here, 1 comma here, 1 comma here. So there are 4 inputs, right, with 3 commas in between them. First one, second one, third one, fourth one. The differences between R1 and P, you can see that P, there is a equals none after that. I mean, if you have learned a bit of Python, you know that none is just a value, right? It's a value when nothing is there. Call it none. So in this case, when you have equals, this is saying that this argument has a default value. The default value is none. So if you call this function, if you run this function without giving an input for P, then P will automatically have a value of none. Now same for R2. R2 will have an automatic value of none if you don't input any, if you don't give it any input. Okay. But R1 and Q, they don't have any defaults. You can see there's no equals, whatever. There's no defaults, which means that they are compulsory. They are mandatory. If you call a function like this without putting in R1 and Q, then you will get an error. So let's just do a simple example. So let's go to my folder. As usual, when you want to start writing code in VS Code, which is of course my recommended code editor. Of course, it's free, and you just right-click. My suggestion is go into a folder first, then right-click and open with code. Open with code. Why I like to do this is that now my VS Code starts with some context. It opens that current folder as a project folder, so I can see all the files here in my folder here, and access them very easily. So I can click and access all my different files very easily. Okay, so now all I need to do is I'll just start a new file. What I can do is just press this plus sign here, and I'll call it second set.py. No. In fact, I'll call it set2. set2.py. Set2.py. Okay. And let's look at some functions which you need some kind of inputs, right? So for example, let's if you want to find function signatures, one easy way is you can go to help. So first we type Python. After you install Python, then you can do Python help, and what's some simple functions? Sort. How about sort? Sort is not defined. Is it sorted? Sorted. Okay, so now we can see something here very interesting. It says sorted. When I do help sorted, what happens in Python is that it shows me the documentation and the function signature of this sorted function. It shows me the signature of this sorted function, so I know what to put inside it. Most important thing you can see is iterable. So I need to put in the iterable, something you can loop over. Don't be confused if you're new. Iterable is just something you can loop over, something you can put in a loop, in a for loop. Okay. Then we have slash, and then we have this asterisk. I believe, actually, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure why we have a slash and an asterisk here. I think it's for a different way of calling the function. But anyway, you can see here that there's key equals none and reverse equals false. Yeah. So we definitely need to put in iterable. If we call sorted without an input, the first input, which is iterable, then it gives us an error. It gives us type error. Expected one argument. Argument is an input, but 0. So we got 0 arguments. If you give it one input, so for example, my list equals to 312, and then I do sorted list, so it gives me 1, 2, 3. Right. So this is the iterable that I pass in. I pass in the iterable, and then it gives us the sorted list. Yeah. So that's that. So that's that. So you can see that iterable is a mandatory, is a compulsory input. You have to call it, or else you get an error. And then key is optional. Reverse is optional. Same as here. P is optional and R2 are optional. Because if you don't put an input, you can. There are default inputs. So that's that. So going forward, if you have any questions, please don't fill in the Google form. Just put them right in the chat so I can see them, because I won't be checking the Google form constantly, but I'll be looking at the chat. So for those who just joined, welcome to our session again on AI4I Live. And yeah, if you have any questions with the content, or if you have any exercises in DataCamp that you want to see, you're stuck in some areas, let me know, and then we will go through them. Ishan here again as usual, and welcome. Hope you guys are having a lovely Wednesday afternoon. Okay. If you haven't joined us in the Discord yet, please, I urge you guys to join. Our Discord is a place where we have lots of people. We have over 200 people joining us already. All of them are Makerspace, AI Singapore Makerspace users, and a lot of them are AI4I learners. So it's a good place to get to know your fellow learners, get to share resources, share what projects you're doing. Some people are doing some really interesting things with hydroponics recently. Yeah, share tutorials, AI tutorials, and videos, and so on and so forth. Ask your Python questions. Yeah, it's I urge you guys to join it. Okay. The description should have the link. Let me just double check that. The description has the link. No, the link here is not correct. So let me update the link. Yep, so I've updated the link. You guys can just go ahead and check out the link, check out the Discord if you haven't done so yet. If not, we'll just move straight into our usual data camp exercises. These are all exercises in our AI for Industry course. Regardless of which batch you're in, you should be following these probably these same courses on data camp. And we'll just go through them live. If you have any questions, just let me know. If you're not sure how I do something, let me know. Later on, if we have time, maybe we'll go through something, just some kind of a freestyle Python project to do something interesting in Python. Maybe we'll write some short scripts to. We'll learn something together. Well, maybe I'll learn a library and we can follow along. That might be interesting as well. Right, so as per usual, the main things which are important to learn in AI4I would be learning Python. So I think you've got to learn the programming language we're using. In terms of data analytics, data science, there's two main languages. There's Python and there's R, right? So for AI4I, we focus on Python. We only use Python. So we got to learn language, Python. We got to learn the libraries which are involved in data science, which would be the data visualization libraries, the libraries to actually handle this type of tabular data, which and then the libraries for machine learning and deep learning. So libraries like Seaborn, Matplot library, Pandas, NumPy, TensorFlow. So these are the type of things that we want to learn. And then after that, we need to learn concepts in machine learning itself. Yeah, so these are the main parts. Right now, we are going through Pandas, which is one of the important libraries. We have to make sure you learn well in order to do your own machine learning. Again, for those who are just joining us, make sure you click into YouTube so you can join the chat. Say hi, or just feel free to just say hi. Okay, if any questions, just put them right in the chat. Okay, let's continue on. Data manipulation with Pandas, aggregating data. So aggregating data is like, because you have lots and lots of data, lots and lots of rows. Let's say you have hundreds thousands of rows, you have millions of rows, and then out of these million rows, you want to combine them into one value, or you want to produce just one value or two values. That's kind of aggregating data, like doing something with a lot of data but produce one outcome or two outcomes. So that's that. So let's continue, keep making progress. Welcome everybody again to AI4I. If you guys have any particular exercises you wanted me to go through, just let me know. Okay, so here we are counting categorical variables, right? So what are categorical variables? We have this right now. We're doing Pandas. I'm aware that a lot of people here are still new, but if you have any particular questions, if you're new, I will try and go through them. Okay, I will try to make this my teaching also relevant to newer programmers and more experienced programmers as well. Okay, just be a little bit patient if you've already learned this. Okay. While I'm doing this coding live as well, you can also, I encourage you actually to open your own data camp exercise from Makerspace. So everybody here who's watching in the chat has AI4I course registered. So you just go into your course. So for example, you go into Foundations in AI, which is the latest iteration for AI4I. Just go into your course, and then probably it's Pandas Foundations. And then from here, you have the recommended resource. So make sure you click on recommended resource. And we are there. So this is the recommended resource. Just continue your course. So wherever you are, just go there and do your own data camp exercise at the same time. Just listen to my voice in the background. And if you have any questions, just let me know. And we can go through that. Okay, so categorical variables, they are basically variables, they are columns of data which have different categories of values. Yeah, so the values are basically categories. They are not continuous. It's not like a price. A price would be something like $1 to $100 or $1 million, right? This is a continuous variable, continuous numerical variable. Whereas categorical variable could be something like a male or female, right? These are two categories, right? Very often, categorical variables are also the text variables, right? And there are a limited number of such variables. Okay, so counting is a great way to get an overview of your data. Yep. We'll count each type of store and the number of each department number using the data frames we created in the previous exercise. Okay, so this is how you drop duplicate combinations. Oh, sure. The store types and the store departments I created are available, and pandas is imported as PD. As per usual, pandas is imported as PD, right? Hopefully you guys all know this already. When it says imported, it means that we bring in this code for us to use in our code. Okay, we bring in the pandas library. So now we have these two data frames. Okay, we want to count the number of stores of each store type in store types. Okay, store counts. Count the number of stores of each type. To be honest, there are a number of KPIs which I can't remember as well. So this will be a learning journey for us together. Yeah, some of these data frame exercises, they come with the API that they expect you to use, expect you to learn, but some of them don't. For example, here, they don't tell me what is the API, what is the function that I need to use. Okay, count the number of stores of each type. And one of the important, really important things about programming, right? When you first start programming, you think that, hey, these professional programmers, right? They must have all of these API, all of these functions, the names of the functions, and their function is signatures at their fingertips. But that's absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. So, so a lot of my colleagues and most professionals, they will have some kind of a reference where they'll use to refer to it, to look at the function names that they commonly use and the inputs for them. And if not, then they will immediately just Google for whatever they need at that point in time. Right, so yeah, that's really how they do it. And that's what I'm going to be showing you today. So the important thing about being a developer, a programmer, is that you've got to know how to understand the how to search for functions and to search for information and understand the information, right? And then actually just write the code from there. Count number of each store type in store types. So let's just look at store types. First, store types is like this. So number of store types. Store type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All these are different store types, I believe. Yep. So what I know I can do is I can go to store types. And then dot value counts, but that's not the same thing. No, store type value counts, store type dot value counts. There's no attribute store type. I believe we got to do this. Let me see. I might have done a typo here. The store types, first column is called store type. No, it's called store, right? No, this is the number of the store, of course. So my error. In fact, what we can do to understand the data set a little bit better is to just do store types.info. Right. So we have .info, we can see that there is a store column, there's a type column. And this is the type column. So now the type column is the one that we want to count number of different stores. Okay, so what I can do is, what I know how to do is store types dot type dot value counts. Value count? I think it's value counts, right? Yeah, value count. So this will show me that there are two store types, A and B, and the first one has 11. 11 of the stores are A stores, and one of them is a B store. But if you ask me to count the number of stores of each type, count the number of different stores, I honestly don't know. Yeah, so let's take a hint from here. Or another thing we can do, let's say right, this is a task, right, that our boss gave us, or that we need to know how to do. And this isn't a data chem exercise. So how I would search for this, the function to do this is, I will just Google count unique values in pandas series. Yeah, in pandas series. Yeah. Okay, n unique looks like this is the one. So pandas.series.nunique. So the first one I see is, so I just look at the top few results. The first one is value counts, which is what I was using just now, but it's not exactly what I want, as you guys saw. Second one is series.nunique. So this looks like, we can look at the example here, we click into it. This is the documentation. For new programmers, this is what documentation looks like. We see this is the function signature, series.nunique. And then this is the function. You can pass in an optional input, which is drop NA. Can be true or false. So nunique, if we do, see nunique, it shows 4, exactly what we want. So I know without taking the hint here that we have to do nunique. Store types dot type, and this is how I'm going to access the this series. So a pandas data frame is a table of data, right? It's a table of data, and then it's divided into columns. And when you access each column, you're accessing it as a series. I just access the type column, and then I can do .nunique. That should be the store counts. Should be 2. Count the number of stores of each type. No, actually no. It's asking us to count the number of stores of each type. I think what they're asking us is actually to do value counts. Yeah, I think they're asking us to do value counts. Yeah, maybe I am misunderstanding what this is saying. But anyway, it's good to know also that you can do nunique to get the unique number of stores. All right. Next, get the proportion of stores of each type. Right, proportion. This I know this one. So remember just now I said that even professional programmers, we don't know all the API by heart. We don't know all the function names by heart, all the inputs by heart. But if you have used some functions enough times, it just comes as muscle memory. So those which are really commonly used, like value counts, then we would know about it. So for example, here I know that I need to do value counts, and there's an input. There's one argument here which you can set to true to get a proportion. I believe it's normalized. Yeah. Normalized equals to true. So this gives you a proportion. So like 90% of them would be type A, and 10% would be type B, of course. Count the number of each department number and sort. Number of each department number and sort. Okay, so the number of each department number and sort. Let me first sort it. What is the good way to sort here? Count the number of each department number and sort. What is even the department number name of the column? So here the column name is department. So department. So I need to do store depths dot department dot value counts. Can I sort from here? Not sort. It should be sort by, right? No, but it's only it's just a series. So how do you sort that? Actually, isn't it already sorted when you do value counts? Okay, let's just put this in the interactive shell and we'll find out together. Okay, so here let's paste it in. It's sorted already, isn't it already sorted? Yeah, the most first. Maybe they want it to be sorted from sort in descending order. Yes, that's already done. That's already done. So value counts should be okay. Different departments in store depths. Yeah. Count the proportion of different departments. Store depths dot department. No, dot. What are you asking me to do right now? Value counts. Normalized equals to true. Yes, normalized equals to true is how we get proportion. When we look at value counts, we want to do normalized equals to true. I guess they're asking me to do sort equals to true. Let's try. Okay, I don't think it's sort equals to true. Did you correctly compute the counts of values in the department column of store depths? From what this thing is saying here, it seems like they want me to put sort equals to true in value counts. Okay, no, that's absolutely not correct. Okay, let's look at this again. What is wrong with my answer here? Let's put it in the interactive shell at the bottom here. Very important to know that you can use this bottom right here to test out anything in Python. You can always do any kind of code in Python. Your code gets sent over to a computer somewhere else in the world, and then the computer runs the Python script and sends back the result to you, just showing you in the browser. Yeah, isn't this sorted? Did you correctly compute the counts of values in the department column of store departments? If I'm missing out anything pretty obvious, feel free to let me know as well in the chat. Okay, department. That's not value code. Okay, let's look at store depths first. Store depths. Store department is this one. Department is all this. Store depths dot department dot value dot values. It gives me all of these values. I can see there's something here shown here. Great. These are all the values of the departments. Okay, sure. Count the number of different departments in store departments, sorting the counts in descending orders. Okay, let's just take the hints. I mean, the data camp exercises, they may not always be 100% clear or perfect, so no harm in taking the hints. Select the type column. Yep, correct. We select the department column and call value counts. Yep, correct. To calculate proportions, yes, correct. We set normalize equals to true. To sort the counts, we set sort equals to true. Yes, it seems to have done that. Maybe here they want me to do this, right? All right. Yep. So I got debated basically. So if we restart to the sample code, here it says something dot something, right? So that's why I put in store, store departments dot, and then there's like only one blank space here. So I just put value counts. But of course, you need to select the department column. So it should have been department dot value count, right? So yeah, that's done. Again, for those who are just joining, thanks for joining us.
So far, you've been calculating
on AI4I Live, and feel free to type in the chat to your fellow AI4I learners and ask any questions you have. Especially if you're a new programmer, I understand the difficulty of being a new programmer because I also didn't study programming in school. Studied audit, accounting. I studied accounting, and I changed to learn programming myself. Yeah, so I definitely don't know how difficult it can be when you're a new programmer. What percent of sales occurred at each store type? While group by is useful, you can calculate grouped summaries statistics without it. Okay. Walmart distinguishes 3 types of stores: super centers, discount stores, and neighborhood markets, encoded in this database, in this data set as type A, B, and C. So what does this mean? So this line means that there are 3 types of stores: super centers, discount centers, and neighborhood markets, and they are encoded as something. It means that instead of typing super centers, discount stores, and neighborhood markets inside our database, inside our data set, they are actually written as A, B, and C instead. So A would be super centers, B would be discount stores, C would be neighborhood markets. So just like that. So it means when they say this. In this exercise, you will calculate the total sales made at each store type without using group by. You can then use these numbers to see what proportion of Walmart's total sales were made at each. Alright, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's get started. Calculate the weekly sales over the whole dataset. What is even the dataset called again? It's called store. What was it just now? Store.
So
this is not my favorite course. It doesn't really give you all the variables that you need. So we have store types and store departments. Okay, go forward, back there. So the sales, are they in store types? What? Oh, sales. It's called sales, right? Of course. Yeah, it's called sales, right? It's called sales. Okay. So it's just my bad. I didn't see that it says sales is available. And it doesn't tell you what sales is. Sales here is the data frame, of course. So yeah, weekly sales is one of the columns. Sales, weekly sales. And as usual, for column names, you try to put underscore there. It makes it easier to access it by in pandas, but of course it's not necessary as well. Dot sum. I believe it's sum, right? I believe it's sum. So how do I know? Why do I think that there's a sum? So I can do is, if I'm not sure again, how I would how I go about googling it is to sum pandas series. Yep, so there's series.sum. There's series.sum. So here you can see series.sum. So we have, so let me close this. Yeah, this is a series. This gives us a series, and then we do dot sum. Yep, so that should return us the total sum. Calculate the subset for type A stores, and then type B stores, type C stores. Okay, so sales. To be honest, these brackets are kind of like even more confusing than helpful. Where sales, not weekly sales, type equals to A. Let's get the weekly sales dot sum. Right? Can you guys follow? So this, if you've joined us last week at our AI4I live session, this is how we filter out all the entries, all the rows where the sales type is A. Double equals is equality. So check left side is equal to right side. And I can confirm that this works if I just put it right here in the interactive Python shell. So if I do this, it shows me sales type equals A. All of the entries where the sales type is A. It shows me that there are 9,000 entries. Right, so most of them are from A. Yeah, so if we do sales.shape, I can see that there are 10,000 rows, 10,700 rows, and 9,800 of them are from A. Okay, and then here is how we just get the sales column, and then we sum that up. So from here I can just copy and paste, just change A to B and C, and that should do it. Sales proportion by type. Okay, equals to sales A, sales B, I guess, based on the pattern of what we're looking for. Divide by the divide by the total sales, which is sales all. Sales underscore all. As per usual, if you're new to Python, you have two words in a variable. You always separate it with a underscore. Okay, sales all, and we print this. Looks good. Great. Yes. Calculations with group by. Group by makes life much easier. In this exercise, you perform the same calculations as last time. So group by is a way for us to manipulate a data set in a certain way to get aggregates more easily. Okay. Yes. So let's do this together. Sales is available as usual. Let's look at sales. We can use system info. There are 10,000 again, 700 entries, 10,700 rows, and then we have all these columns. All these beautiful columns. Then we do group by. We do group by what? Group sales by type. Okay. Then we take the sum of weekly sales. Sum. Sales proportion by type. Sales proportion for each type. Calculate the proportion of sales for each type by dividing by the sum of sales by type. Get a drink. By dividing by the sum of sales by type. Okay, so I think we can do this. Dot weekly sales No, to be honest, I'm not very sure. Let's take a hint here. Let's take a hint here. Okay, yes, we've done the first one. That's fine. You can use the sum function on sales by type to get the total sales. Sales by type. Sales by type divide by sales by type dot sum function. Can we do that? The sum function. Or maybe it should be a sum function. We'll try this first. Okay, that worked. So it worked. So we're on to the second part of the instructions. Group sales by type. Let me just check here. Anything? Nope, nothing important. Group sales by type and is holiday. Group by easier. Group sales by type and is holiday. Yes. Take the sum of weekly sales and store as sales by holiday type. Sales by type and then group by is holiday. Right. Take the sum. Is this right? Store as holiday sales by type. Did you call sum twice? Right. You gotta sum this? No, I think we got to do weekly sales, right? Or I might be mistaking this as well. So let's see what they actually want. I'm not worried. You can just take a hint right here. Just like the previous step, you need to group the data frame before selecting the weekly sales column. Okay. No, I think what we need to do here, instead of starting with sales by type, we need to start with sales. Then we group by type and is holiday. Yes, I think that looks about right. Did you define sales by type as holiday without errors? No, I did not. How we can do right now is to just break this down into parts, right? So we group by, can we do this? No axis named is holiday. No axis named is holiday. Let's group by is holiday. No, I missed out the single quote here. So yes, there is holiday. Oh, I think we need to put them in a list. That's why I haven't done this in a while. So group by type and then is holiday. Yes, so now we have this. Then we do dot weekly sales dot sum. Yep, and now we can see by type and by holiday. So this, we have this, we can select it, copy and paste it, and we should be golden. Wait. It wasn't properly copied somehow. Copy and paste. Yep. Looks good. Awesome. So you can see here, this is how we would group by multiple variables. So now, instead of having 10,000 columns, we've aggregated it into this data here. And this way of doing E plus 8 or this is just telling you there should be 8 zeros here. So 8 zeros, a million is 6 zeros, so 8 zeros is 100 million. So type A stores on days which are not holidays brought in 233 million in sales. Okay, so the answer. Let's go to the next exercise. Okay, as per usual, if you have any particular exercise you want us to go through, just let us know right in the chat. It seems a bit quiet in the chat today. Feel free to be there. Oh wait, no, I didn't manage to see. I missed out some people in the chat. My setting was on top chat instead of live chat. I'm so sorry. Brian P and PG have asked questions. Let's look at those. Brian P's question is here. When I do the course in data camp, this is where I struggle. Although it's a beginner course, the course flow or instructions are tricky, definitely. Yes, for sure. It can be tricky sometimes. Don't be afraid to take the hints and just do your own Googling to check for API. Any tips for learning for beginner? Yeah, I'm glad to see that you learned about the interactive shell. For those who still didn't catch it, at the bottom right here there is an IPython shell. You can just type whatever you want there. So I in range. When I was starting learning Python and I didn't understand loops, I actually typed this like every day for like a month or something before I got the hang of what was going on. So I did for I in range 5 print I, and then I just read this and like okay. So that's what that's how you understand it. So eventually you like internalize how a for loop works, right? So range 5 brings you from 0 to 4, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then each time you loop over it, you loop 5 times over this instruction, and each time I is a different value. I is the first value in range 5, and the second value, third value, fourth value, fifth value. And each time you print I. That's how we get this. Okay, so yeah, good. Then after that you mentioned any tips for learning? For new learners, I struggle between statistic concepts and syntax between Python. R and Python. Yeah. Actually, to be honest, I haven't learned R. Hopefully I can learn as well in the future, but for now we don't really use R in AI4I. For statistics concepts, yeah, okay. But for beginners, I think what you need to do is practice typing code, try to do some small projects, try to make sure you try to learn how to search for information, search for documentation, learn how to read documentation, and find documentation, whatever you need. Yeah, and I think that's the most important. You need to practice doing that. Practice reading documentation, especially. Hopefully that helps a bit. Yeah. And I think also in general, it's good to look at sample code in places like Kaggle, so you can look at notebooks and you can see how other professionals do their write their notebooks, and you realize that actually it's not much different from what you're doing in data camp, because code is just code, right? Code is just code, right? And then after you read this, you try to run your own. This is not a good example. This is not a good example. So here in Kaggle, you can look for beginner. Yep, for beginner notebooks, like this. Yeah, and then you look at all the code here, and you try to read and understand it. Try to spend more time reading code and everything. And I also recommend watching videos on YouTube as well. On YouTube, when you're watching videos, my best tip is to download the video speed controller, which looks something like this one. Video speed controller. Yep, video speed controller. You can find it in the Google extensions and speed up the videos until you get to the parts where you don't really understand. Then you slow them down and then repeat them over and over again. You don't understand it, just repeat. So the useful shortcuts here would be J and L on YouTube. So J would be go back 10 seconds and L would be go forward 10 seconds. It's really, really useful. I always use this. Yeah. So, okay. What is the difference between sum you've shown and np.sum? Good question, PG. Good question, PG. What's the difference between sum that I show and np.sum? Okay, just now, right, I had some answer which had sum inside here. Right, here's sum. One thing that's important to understand, right, is that this sum, right, is completely different from np.sum. This is np.sum. np.sum, in fact, is not actually np.sum. It is actually it's not actually np.sum, right? It's actually numpy.sum, right? numpy.sum. Right? We often use np.sum because we alias numpy as np. This is completely different from what we're doing here. This is a method, the sum method. A method is also a function, but it is a function which is attached to certain classes or certain types of objects. So here, this sum function is attached to series, pandas series. So all pandas series can have this special sum function. And they call it by, first you get a series here. You see this here? If I paste it here, it is a series object. It's a series group by object. If I do type, if I wrap this in type, it shows you that it's a series group by. pandas.call.groupby.generic series group by. You don't care about everything in front here. Important thing is to see the last part. It says this is a series group by object. Okay. So series group by objects, they have sum. They have a sum function attached to them, which is a sum method, which is completely different from np.sum, which is numpy.sum. Completely different. So np.sum will allow you to sum up stuff inside, right? Actually, I'm not very sure. This is np imported. No, np is not imported. Import numpy as np. So np.sum. Can I do 1, 2, 3? Should be okay, right? No. Got to put them into a list, and it gives you 6, right? So this is different. np.sum. It has a different syntax, right? Different syntax. Here, it already knows what to sum, so you don't need to put an input inside. Here, it doesn't know what to sum, right? So you got to put the thing you want to sum inside as the first variable, the first input. And the first input, you put it as a list, or as a numpy array or whatever. All right. Hopefully that answers. Next question is from Lawrence Kwok. I actually tried Microsoft Developer Pythons for beginners. There's more content. Yep. Definitely. We encourage you to look for different types of sources, and AI4I is just one of the sources. And what I think is good for AI4I is that it's a good way for you to connect with other learners, because we're all learning this together. In Singapore, it's a fast changing economy, right? Fast, and these times, right? We all want to gain new informational technology skills, and it's a good process that we all learn through this together. Yeah. So some courses which I really encourage you guys to check out would be some YouTubers like SentDex, and I put them all in the AI4I Discord. Yeah, make sure you join the Discord. I put them into learning resources, into AI tutorials, AI videos. Yeah, so these are the things which I find really, really good. There's some as well. CS50 in particular, I think it's really good as well. You just search for CS50. CS50 in YouTube. I believe it's one of the major universities, one of the top universities, their computing course, introductory computing course. Okay, when we take the hints, there are some points deducted, asks PG. When we ask to see the answer, all points are deducted. What's the implication of having such marks deducted? There's absolutely no implication. It's just a gamified situation in DataCamp. There's absolutely zero problem when you take the hints. No problems at all. So just feel free to take the hints, especially because some of the instructions aren't very clear. But taking the hints will just help you move forward in your learning. No worries at all. Yes, having such marks deducted. John Go asks, how applicable is DataCamp interface and API in real-world projects? The interface is not something you should get used to. What you should get used to is learning to use things like learning to use Visual Studio Code, learning to use a Jupyter Notebook, learning to use notebooks in Kaggle. So these are the places that you should learn to use in terms of interface. Especially Visual Studio Code, it is really helpful if you learn how to use Visual Studio Code well. Why I recommend Visual Studio Code as usual is you have built-in auto-completion, syntax highlighting, pandas as PD, and then you have all this completion for you, and then lots of super easy helpful things you can do, like for example so if I want to change my var, my variable, to another variable name, what I would have to do in Notepad or Word or whatever would be to go here and then select it and change it to variable B, and then change this to variable B, and then change this to variable B or something. Or I have to go into find and replace, find and replace, and slowly replace it. That's really mafan, very slow, very. And there's a plane flying overhead. So whereas in Visual Studio Code, what I can do is just use Control D, hold Control press D. If you're on a Mac, Command D. I believe Command D works. Yeah, Command D. So Control D, it selects the entire word. At Command D again, it selects the next instance. At Command D again, it selects the third instance. All three of them are selected at the same time. So I can just put var B. Now I press Escape to deselect all three. So it's like just ridiculously useful. So sorry, there is another plane flying overhead. Let me mute the microphone. Alright, yep. So now, another part of your question, John Go, is about how applicable is the not only the DataCamp interface but also the API. The API is extremely applicable. So if you look at the things that we have done in DataCamp, the exercises, you'll see that if you go into the real notebooks on the street, you look at notebooks in the wild in Kaggle, you'll see a lot of the similar things, right? I'm sure you learned pd.pandas.read CSV in one of your first pandas lessons. Yeah, you see it right here. You see all these things. You see .head. This exactly the same things, right? The API is absolutely relevant, which is why we chose DataCamp, because we think that it's a good resource. Yeah. So yeah, the API is completely relevant. For interface, make sure you get used to using Jupyter Notebooks. Make sure you get used to using Visual Studio Code or whatever other IDE of your choice, text editor of your choice. Okay, next question. Yep, Microsoft Developer. I'll share more more and more resources and YouTube channels which I really like for learning in the Discord. Brian P asked, "This is your first session. Welcome, Brian P. Hope you're having a lovely Wednesday afternoon. What is Discord server or link about?" So Discord is a place where it's like Slack, if you've used Slack before. So it's often used for gamers, but it's also getting more and more used for other communities. So we've just started our AI Singapore Discord server, and for learners, we have a group of channels here where you can look at, you can chat with your fellow learners, you can share things with your fellow learners, you have questions, you can post them, and you can respond, join the community, take part in the community. This is a really good way to improve. A lot of people really posting very interesting projects of their own. Some people doing some hydroponics, some robotics here, some electrical circuits, some memes. So it's really encourage you guys to join the Discord and participate. So you can download the app, Discord app. It works on your phone, it works on desktop, it works on Mac, it works on whatever. Alright, how do you get into the Discord? Make sure you go into the description down below, the video description in YouTube, and you should be able to find the link to the Discord. Next one is, thanks for the clarification. Yeah, good. Spider has Variables Explorer, which I find extremely helpful in making sure I got the right data type and in quick visual check. Yeah, cool. If you like to use something like Spider, Spider is an alternative text editor or IDE. So if you like to use that, then just go ahead and use that. Just use whatever you like. Let's continue onwards. Thanks for contributing, Wen. Alright, let's continue onwards. Okay, where were we? And if you have any problem with any particular data camp exercise, just let me know and we will get there. We'll do it together. Did I skip through any exercise? Yes, I did. Okay, so here, where are we? Import numpy again with the alias np, import numpy as np as per usual. Again, this is, why do we do import numpy as np? Why do we do import numpy as np? Why don't we just do import numpy? Because we live in a society, right? We live in a society, and if you import numpy, other developers are going to look at you when they see your code and they'll say, this guy, is he a part of our society? And they'll say, no, this guy is not, and they'll oust you, right? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, this is the convention. So everybody does this, and by doing this, whenever you see np.something, you know what it means, numpy. And it's shorter to type. Programmers are lazy, so we type less rather than more. Okay, so in this chapter, earlier on, you saw the ACT method was useful to compute multiple statistics on multiple variables. It also works with grouped data. NumPy, which is important as NP, has many different summary statistics functions, including min, max, mean, median. I believe you don't even need to use NumPy for most of these. Pandas directly should be able to get this actually, I think. Note that the column name has a lowercase l, not number 1, so it's available. Okay. Instructions, yes, import NumPy with the alias. Alias is just to say this is another name for this. So we import NumPy as NP. The only other standard thing for alias that is imported as alias is pandas as PD, right? And I'm sure you already know this. Actually, not the only other one. There's a few others which are super standard, which would be matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Sorry, another plane is flying through. Alright. And import seaborn as SNS. But if you don't know these already, you'll come to learn them. Either in DataCamp or in the rest of AI for industry. Yep. Okay. So yeah, so you can see pyplot. You can see the PLT. It makes sense, right? PLT, because it's like plot. But Seaborn, there's no SNS, but there's just we import it as SNS because the writer of the author of the Seaborn library, he liked some character in some show whose abbreviated name is SNS, so he set the standard as SNS. Really, really terrible idea. Confuses everyone. For each store type, aggregate weekly sales, get min, max, mean, and median. Alright. So for each store type, yeah, this is really not clear on how exactly do they want us to do this. Sales.ag. What happens when you do sales.ag? Func, right? Min. np.min. np.min. False, of course. It says whenever you see an error, very, very important. John Go says, thanks for the explanations. No problem. That's my job. That's my privilege as well. Whenever you see an error, a red error, don't be afraid. Always look at the last line of the error. Okay, look at the last line of error. What important thing to do is to copy and paste it into Google, and then copy and paste. Didn't manage to copy. I don't know why I can't copy easily here. And paste it here. Another function is sorry. Why do you say another function? Another airplane just passed by. So sorry. Singapore air traffic so heavy. Yeah. So confusing, right? It must be all cargo planes. Considering now there's so little, there should be fewer planes flying around now with the COVID situation. Next, yeah. So here you type this, paste it directly here, and you can see other people who encountered the same error. And just click and read. Okay. We have another question from Brian P. Alias need to follow exact name. For example, import numpy as np. Can put other alias instead of np. This is what I was just talking about just now. Why do we import numpy as np? It's because we live in a society. You can import numpy as Pocahontas, or you can import numpy as Teletubbies. Also can. Teletubbies also can. Then you just do teletubbies.sum. Right? Teletubbies.sum. No problem. You can do this if you like. But number one is it takes longer to type Teletubbies than to type numpy. And number two, when other people read your code, they'll be like, why are you typing Teletubbies here? Okay. You want to follow convention in code. You don't want to act too smart. It's not a good place to act smart in code. The best to follow convention so that other people can read your code more easily. You imagine you are sharing your code with someone else, right? Then you put Teletubbies here. Then people are very confused, right? Then it's harder for them to help you also. Right? Now everybody knows np, so they know np.sum. They already know exactly what you mean. np.sum is numpy.sum. So which is why we do np. Okay. Yes. Okay, so here we have these errors. np.min. It says the name np is not defined, which means inside. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, this is a Python question, right? Name np is not defined. It means when we are coding in Python, we have access to a number of different names. All these different names and different variables. So these names can refer to variables, they can refer to functions, they can refer to constants. Actually, okay, pretty much functions and variables. Think of it as functions and variables. In fact, they're both kind of the same thing, but if you want to think of it as a beginner, think of it as functions and variables. And and all the functions and variables which are available to us, you can think of them as being in our room. Our room. This is our room, and we can use all of these functions and variables from there. If we want to use some kind of a function or variable which is not in our room, we need to bring it into our room. Okay, so to bring it into our room, we need to import it. Either import it or to define it. To define a function, we can define a variable. We can just do var equals 5. Now, if we do var, Python knows that it's 5 because var is in our room. We created it with a value 5. Right? If we want to use np, we need to import it, which is numpy. Numpy is np. So now we do np. It says we have a module np numpy, which has been imported. We can now use it. It's now in our room. We imported it into our room. John Goh asked, there are a number of books on Python that AISG recommends. If I was to pick one as beginners, which one would you recommend? I unfortunately cannot personally recommend any of the books there because I myself, I didn't use them firsthand. But I can recommend an app which is Solo Learn, which I did firsthand use to learn Python by myself, along with a number of other resources. But I did use an app which is Solo Learn. And this is a free app. You can just download it. Yeah, I recommend it. Unfortunately, I can't recommend the books with my own experience. Okay, so now I have np. I finally imported it. So now I'm going to try np. Yeah, I'm going to try this again. Sales.aggregate.np. Okay, so now cool, we have managed to do this, and it gives us this. Get the min-max of weekly sales. Sales.aggregate. So I don't want to do sales.aggregate. I want to do sales.weekly sales.aggregate. Aggregate np.min. So this is the minimum weekly sales. Minus 0198. No, minus 1098. This seems like an error. Or maybe so like for example sales, right? You don't expect sales to be negative. So obviously there's some kind of anomaly here. Negative could be profit, like the costs are bigger than the sales. How I can imagine sales would be negative. Maybe people did returns, cash returns of some sort. Or this is just a wrong data entry, or many other reasons. Yeah. What other reasons? Yeah, wrong data entry, returns, damage. They counted it as sales. Damage to the inventory, they count it as sales somehow. Yeah, I'm not very sure. Max, min, median, and blah blah blah. Using group by and ag. Group by and ag. For each store type. Sure. So we do sales.group by type. It's telling us to do it for each store type, correct? So we do group by type. And I know type is one of the columns because I do sales.info. You can see type, one of the columns, type. So I group by type, and then I do .ag np.min. Can I do np.min and np.max as well? What happens if I do this? So if I'm not sure, I can always put it directly into the shell here. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. It should be sales.group by type and then .weekly sales. Right, so now we have this. So we want this. In order to get back exactly this line of code, again, I can press up. And this is the same as in your shell, in your CMD. If you want to go back, get the same line of code above, your Python interpreter as well. You press up, it'll bring you the last thing that you typed, the last command that you typed. Press up again, you can go up to go back all the history, check all the history. Right, so up. So now I can, let me try to do np.max as well. No, it doesn't work like that. So now I'm just kind of like guessing at syntax. So here I can see, right? To show multiple different aggregate values, I pass them as a list. Right, I pass them as a list. So I'll do np.max, np.mean, np.median. Yes, and then I'll copy this whole thing. I'll copy the whole thing and I'll paste it here. I think that should be good. And then here, unemployment and fuel USD per liter. Okay. For each store type, aggregate unemployment and fuel. Okay, this is really not clear. What are you trying to? Oh, I'm supposed to get the max, median, mean of unemployment and this. Okay. So let's try. So I group by type again as usual. I group by type because they say for each store type I want to see something. So for each store type we group by type. Then weekly sales. Weekly sales aggregate. No, not weekly sales now. Now it should be unemployment and fuel price. So in order to select two series, I'm going to pass in a list. Right? So we pass in a list. I do the square brackets to access, to filter out from this sales.groupby. And which columns do I want? I'll pass in a list to show which columns I want. The first item will be unemployment. Second column will be fuel price USD per liter. And then I typed down, which removed all my progress. So obviously don't do that. Again, I typed it down, which is not the best typo. Okay, again, unemployment. Fuel price USD per liter. And then I'll select all of this, copy. Yep, exactly, we have exactly what we want here. So we're just going to paste it here, and not just NP min and NP max. I'm going to do NP mean, which is the average, and also the NP median, which is the middle value. After you arrange all of them from smallest to biggest, get the middle value, which is the median, and print that. Sure, that's good. Awesome. Then continue onwards. Pivot tables. Okay. Pivot tables are a way of aggregating data in spreadsheets. Yep. Alright, pivot table method is just an alternative to group by. Yep, it's an alternative way to aggregate your data. So in this exercise, you'll perform calculations using pivot table to replicate the calculations you performed in the last lesson using group by. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing in a different way. As usual, for those who just joined in, we are doing some data chem exercises right now. If any questions, put them right in the chat below, or on the right side, I think. Yeah, put them right in the YouTube chat. If you're watching on Discord, if you're watching on the Makerspace thread, please click the link and join and watch on YouTube so you can join in the chat. If you have problems with any kind of data chem exercises, or problem understanding any kind of a concept in Python, in pandas, in visualization, you want me to give an overview of a certain topic, just let me know and I will do my best to accommodate. Okay. As per usual, now is a Wednesday, is working Wednesday. So we don't expect you to stay on for the entire time, but whenever you're here, we are happy to see you here, connecting with me and your learners, your fellow learners. Okay, pivoting on one variable. Get the mean weekly sales by type using pivot table. And store as mean sales per type. Mean sales by type. Okay, sure. Get the mean weekly sales by type. Weekly sales by type. Weekly sales by type. Okay, so again, this exercise, it doesn't give us the API. So we have to do it ourselves. We have to do pivot table help sales dot pivot table. And now we can read this. Okay. So now this is let's learn again how to read documentation together. Learn how to read this help together. Learn this help on the method pivot table for pandas data frames. Okay. So pivot table values equals to blah blah blah, index equals to blah blah blah, columns equals to blah equals to none, egg function equals to mean. To replicate calculations, we want to get the mean weekly sales. Columns equals to weekly sales, I guess. If I wanted to not guess, what we can do is look at the examples. So scroll down and get examples here. When you see this three right arrows, what it's telling you is that this is to be typed in the interpreter. If you type this in the interpreter, which is the Python interpreter, when you go to CMD and you type Python, then you will you type this, then you get the outcome. This is the output. Wait. Yeah, this is the output. Wait. Okay, first example, aggregates values by taking the sum. df pivot table.df, okay, values equals to d, values equals to d. So here values should be weekly sales, I guess. Egg function is np.sum, yes. Get the mean. We don't want to get the mean. We don't want to get the sum. We want to get egg function, which is the aggregate function. What function do we want to use to combine all of these values into one value? Instead of doing the sum to sum all of them together, we want to get the np.mean. Don't I have to import np? Don't I have to import np here? Anyway, let's continue. Let's just try it. By type. Index by type. By type. Values D, index equals blah blah blah. Columns is C. Store as mean sales by type. Okay, so let's try index. Let's try index. Index equals to, no, I don't think it's index, right? No, actually it can be index, right? Index should be okay. Index equals to type. Okay, I think this looks okay. Remember, the pivot table takes the mean of each group by default. Oh, it's by default, so we don't need to put a function in. Okay, I didn't know that. So it takes the mean of each group by default, so we don't need the act function, the argument. Argument is an input, right? It's input, so we don't need this input. It already takes it by default, so we don't put anything, it will give us the mean of each group. Okay, sure, try that. Sure, successful. Good. Next one is mean and median weekly sales. Okay, so we're gonna do values equals to weekly sales, and then index equals to type, right? Index equals to type, and we want to show mean and weekly sales. Mean and median weekly sales. So acfunc equals to two different functions. First one will be np.mean, second one will be np.median. I guess this will be the syntax. Oh, correct. I have the right syntax here. So a lot of times, right, why am I guessing the syntax instead of searching it up? One reason is that usually for the very popular packages, very popular libraries, the syntax is quite intuitive. If certain syntax works a certain way, then other functions will also work a certain way. So here, just now I was looking at group by, and it tells us to pass in a list of the aggregate functions. So here, I also pass in a list of aggregate functions. And I just expect it to work this way. And I check whether it really works that way. And the answer is yes, it worked that way. It's a happy accident. If you really have no idea at all, and you try and have a few different guesses of what the syntax might be, and it doesn't work, then you can just search, look for the syntax itself on the documentation. Okay, so here, next one, it says mean sales by type holiday. So we want to group by type and its holiday. So index will be, let's do values first. Values equals to weekly sales. The group by will be type and holiday. So index will be type and holiday. And we're going to pass in multiple indexes, so it will be type. We pass a list in type and holiday, or is holiday, I think. And then, of course, the mean will be, we don't need to do mean. We don't need to pass in the aggregation function because the default is already mean, right? So that's good. Submit. Oh, fail. Check your call of pivot table. Did you specify the argument columns? No, I didn't specify columns. Why are you telling me to specify columns? Okay. This is my output now. Maybe I should do columns instead of index. Nope. 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 Series object has no attribute columns. Expected holiday. Oh, right. Okay, so it expects us to put is holiday as the column, and the index will be equals to type. So index will still be type, and columns now will be is holiday. Alright, this should be good. So now we have the columns as the is holiday values. So is holiday had values false and true, and the types had A and B. So we put this into a table like that. Just like this. Okay. Now hopefully I'm not missing any other messages from you guys. Weekly live session? Nope. Alright, let's continue on. Fill in some missing values and some values with pivot tables. Alright, the pivot table method has several useful arguments, including fill value and margins. Alright. Okay, so we want to print the mean weekly sales by department and type. Alright, so again, values equals to weekly sales. Because the values that are in the middle of the pivot table, they are all based on weekly sales. We're just aggregating the weekly sales. Okay, values will be weekly sales. Then what's next? Department and type. Department and type. So index equals department, and then or type, I guess. And then columns equals to type. Can we do that? Filling in any missing values with 0. So it tells us we want to fill in missing values with 0. So, and it also tells us that there is an argument, i.e. there's an input to the function, which is called fill value. So I'm going to put the input name, which is fill value. Type in fill value exactly. Fill value. If you type in fills value or fill values, you'll get an error. Or you won't get an error, but you get nothing. You get an unexpected result. Fill value equals to 0. Okay, good. That passed, and then we'll need to print the mean weekly sales by department type, filling in missing values with 0 and summing all rows and columns. And summing all rows and columns. So they also wanted to use margins. So we just took margins equals true. Fill value equals to 0. Margins equals true. Yep. Alright, sweet. Sweet.
In chapter 1, you saw that.
Hopefully that wasn't too loud. Okay, let's continue onwards. Explicit indexes. Alright, so what are the indexes in a data camp? In a pandas data frame. What are the indexes? Indexes are the same as indexes in a list. So a list, right? What does a Python list look like? So I just find a list. So 1, 2, 5, 6, 5, 7, 9. So if I want to get the value 5 out from the list, I need to know the position of this 5 from the front. From the front, it is the first, second, third item. Right, it's the third element, the third item inside this list. Okay, and so the index of this is 2. It's not 3 because the first item has an index of 0. So it goes from 0, you count up. 0, 1, 2. So I would need to pass in the index into a square bracket here. So this is the list here. I put square bracket to access an item from the list. I access the item with index 2. Index 2 here gives us 5. Exactly like this. It's the exact same in a data frame. The only difference is now instead of having items, you have rows. Or what we call entries in a data frame. So here, temperatures is the data frame. Temperatures. Yeah. So this is the temperatures data frame. There are 16,500 rows. So in this data frame, the indexes are the ones on the left side. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These again are the addresses. The addresses that tell you where each row lives. Tell you how to refer to each row. You can always refer to a row by its index. Always refer to a row by its index. Okay, so for example, the temperatures, and then how do you refer to a row by its index? You can use ilog. Ilog. So let's say I want this exact row, 16,498. I put 16,498 here. Of course, that didn't work. 16,498, and then comma, and then this, and it gives us this. Okay, what exactly did it give us? It gives us the this whole row of information. This whole row of information has date, this date, which is this date, the 8th of January, which is 8th of January here, correct? No, actually it's not January, right? I think it's the month. So it should be August 2013, and then Xi'an in China, right? And average temperature. And then here, why do I access it with? I access it with the index here, correct? But I didn't, and then I have to add on this really strange syntax in Python. What is this strange syntax? This strange syntax is specific to NumPy and pandas. Because in pandas and NumPy, we're working with a table of data. So we don't just have items going in one direction in like a list, right? It's going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For pandas data frame, you have rows going down like this, but you also have columns going like this, right? So if I want to select all of the columns, then I put this colon here. So if I don't put the colon, what I can do is from the first code, I can do from the first column, imagine this the first column number, which is probably 0, to the last column number, which is probably, I don't know, however many columns there are. Okay, so these are the columns. But instead of putting 0 and 5, which is the first and last column, I can put nothing and nothing, which means choose all the columns. Give me all the columns for this row. This is the row, I want all the columns. So you can see that this is just the same. It's an address for us to refer to the column. Refer to the row. You refer to the row. This is the indexes in a pandas data frame. Alright, look at temperatures. Print temperatures. Sure. Set index of temperatures to city. So temperatures dot set index, I believe, city. So temperatures, we can do .info to find out about the different columns. When you look at me typing, right, I don't type super fast, but I type faster than most people. If you want to type faster, I recommend using what is the site called? Typing test. KeyBR. I love this. KeyBR, this is a really good way to practice your typing, to type more quickly. So it gives you lots of practices. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, that's a nice thing to do as well. I think this works. Set index city. Look at temperatures index. Print temperatures index. Reset index. So temperatures index dot reset index. I think that's the right. I think that's the right syntax. That's the right syntax. Oh no, I'm wrong. I'm not correct. Oh, okay. Here I need to reset index, dropping its contents. Reset index. So anyway, here we can see what has been printed so far. Okay, so we have these temperatures, sure. Then we have no, we don't have this. Okay. Okay, we do temperatures.set index first. Okay, let's print this out to see what we have. So now you can see, right, that the index, right, is no longer the numbers, right? Our default index here is from 0 to 16499, 16,000 different numbers, which are the addresses of our different items. But now we change the index to use the city as the index. So now we can use the city as the way to select certain rows. But one of the things here, if you notice, if you're paying attention, is that multiple entries can have the same city. Right, so when we call Abidjan, if I call Abidjan, I will get all of these rows. I will select all of these rows. Okay, so if I reset index, means I remove this as an index. I get back the original numerical unique indexes. So to reset index and drop the contents, dot reset index. What is the... Okay, so we need to drop the contents. So I don't know what the syntax is, so there's two ways I can find out. One is, again, to Google it. I'll show you both ways. The first way is to do help temperatures dot reset index. And when I do temperatures dot reset index, I don't want to have the parenthesis after reset index, because I want help on the function. When I do dot reset index, this refers to the function itself. I want help on the function itself. If I put reset index with this parenthesis, I'm already calling the function. I'm telling the function to run. I don't want to tell the function to run. I want to just find out about the function. That's all. So I do this. It says we can. So I'm going to scroll. Reset index. Okay, this is the function signature. It tells us we can do level equals none, drop equals false, in place equals false, blah, 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 blah. The thing is more similar here is drop. Right, it's telling us to drop its contents. So we want to do drop. By default, drop is false. So I just need to put drop equals to true, and that should work. Alright. Now we are at subsetting with LOC. Okay, subsetting with LOC, sure thing. Killer feature for indexes is .loc, a subsetting method that accepts index values. When you pass it a single argument, it will take a subset of rows. Yep, that's right. Make a list of cities to subset on. Make a list of cities to subset on. What are you talking about? So this is not a very specific instruction, so it's not very good. So what we can do is go temperatures here. Okay, then we have cities here. We look at the cities. Cities. No. The dot. It should be dot city dot value counts. So look at the value counts. There's too many to count as well. So okay, let's just do dot city dot okay, it's telling us that there is a Moscow and St. Petersburg. Okay, so let's just create a list, assuming that this is correct. So a list of strings Moscow and St. Petersburg. So this is the list we have, assign it to cities. Yep. Use this to filter temperatures for rows where the city column takes the value in cities. Okay, so temperatures. Yeah, again, this data exercise is one of the more tricky ones. They don't give you exactly what, they don't tell you exactly what functions you need to use. Okay, so temperatures dot LOC Cities. Not 100% sure whether this works, but it should be okay. Subset temperatures in temperatures in using LOC. Or using square brackets. Okay, sure, using square brackets we can do this. Using LOC. In using LOC dot LOC. Okay. No, it shouldn't be like that. Subset temperatures using square brackets. I don't think this works. Let me just try. I think this is wrong. This line is wrong. Yep, of course this line is wrong. So, square. If you want to subset it using square brackets, what we need to do is temperatures cities equals to, no, it's in, right? It's in. How do we use is in actually? What is the it's in. Temperatures dot city dot is in cities. Let's just try if this works, then I will come back to this to explain it. Okay, so this works. Okay, so what's happening here? What's happening here? Okay, first I need to define again. It says name. Cities is not defined because here I haven't defined what cities is. So I press up, and I do this. Right, so now this works. What is actually going on here? We are doing temperatures, which is the data frame. So data frame, and you put a square bracket to subset it to get a smaller set of it. So the data frame has, I don't know how many thousand, 16,000 rows. We want to get maybe 8,000 rows or whatever, a subset of the rows. So we want to get all the rows where the temperatures dot city, which means the city value here is in a certain list. So it's in a certain group of values. So it's in cities. And cities here is a list of values. And that gives us what we want. Right. Yeah. Let's continue. So the answers, continue. Setting multi-level indexes. To be honest, I think someone, John Go was asking about just now about how whether all of the API here is 100% relevant. How relevant is it, right, to real world projects? Some of the things are not 100% relevant. I mean, they are relevant. They are very useful to visualize information and find out information and get information. But not all of them will be often used, right? Not all of them will be often used. Or you can do some of them in other ways. But it's just good. But some of these standard tasks is good to know also. It's just good to know at least once how to do it. So setting multi-level indexes. Again, this is not something that we always do, but it's something that is good to know how to do. So you can set multiple indexes, multiple addresses for rows in Pandas data frame. Okay, it's already 1:50 p.m. Thanks for those who have been joining us all the way. We'll finish off at 2 p.m. We'll just finish off soon. Yep. Yes. Okay. So let's just go through this. Temperatures indexed. PD is loaded. Pandas is loaded as PD. Okay. Temperatures is available. So it says temperatures is available again. It means temperatures is available in our room. It's available in our room as a name that we can use. Right. It's a variable that we can use. Set the index of temperatures to the country and city columns. Assign this to temperatures index. So temperatures dot set index country and city city. I'm not sure whether we need to put them into a list. Let's try that. Copy and paste. And see what we have. Yes, that works. So that works. So we can put them in the list here. These are a list of indexes. First by country, then by city. Specify 2 country-city pairs to keep. Assigning 2 rows to keep. Okay. So here a list of tuples. So here I'm not talking about tuples. If you recall, hopefully they did mention about tuples in the earlier exercise. But a tuple is just like a list. The only main difference is that when you define it, you put brackets around your items instead of a list. List you put square brackets, correct? Square bracket 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a list, right? This is a list. When you just switch the square brackets to round brackets, parentheses, this is a tuple. So the real differences between a list and a tuple is not super important. Main thing that you need to know is that some APIs, some functions, they ask you for tuples. Yeah, and but it's quite rare. It's quite rare. And another thing you need to know is that tuples are immutable, means you can't change the values in tuples. Not in the usual ways. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, let's continue. Rows to keep. We have, it asks us for a list of tuples, means it wants us to have multiple tuples inside here. First one will be Brazil, and then Rio de Janeiro. And second one will be Pakistan, Lahore. Okay, these are the rows to keep. And then I want to subset the rows to keep. Rows to keep, sure. Just like that. Submit my answer. Oh, I need to use LOC, of course. The LOC. Great. And if we do that, then we get to see all of the rows that we want to keep. Only Brazil and Rio and only Rio de Janeiro and Lahore. Yes, so that's the way that you access items when you have a multi-index. Sort temperature by index values. Sort by index values. So we do temperatures in sort values. Oh, sort index. It's asking us to do sort index. Okay, sure. So index. Sort by indexes at the city level. Okay, so second one should be at the city level. Paste it, copy and paste. Let's try city. By country and then descending city. Okay, so sort by. So now I need to sort by multiple items. So I will try to put a list here first. So I will sort by. Nope, I'll sort by country. Then by city. And also I want to sort by ascending equals to true, false. I think this works. Let me just try it first and I'll explain later. No, I did not get it correct. Level equals to so we gotta find out how to call this level. Let's try this. Nope. This one, I mean the first part is correct now. Second part is not correct. Level equals to. Maybe this works. Now this works. Okay, so now this level is how we sort the index. At which level do we want to sort the index? So here we want to sort it at the city level. So here we want to sort at the country and city level. And here ascending is whether we want to sort from smallest to biggest or biggest to smallest. Here, why do I put true, false? What does it mean? It means that when we sort it by country, I want it to be ascending true. Yes, I want it to be ascending, smallest to biggest, when we're sorting by country. Then I will sort by city. When I sort by city, I want it to be false, which is why this false corresponds to this city. Okay? There's a second input here, and here's a second input here. So that's how it works. Alright, so next exercise. Let's just do one more exercise and we'll close for the day. Thanks again. Thanks. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. If you haven't joined the Discord server yet, please join and make the place a lively channel, a lively server. You can use it to also find people who are similar to you to learn together in a group, and hopefully improve your motivation to finish the course. Okay. Temperatures._SRT. What is SRT here? Slicing index values. Slicing is a way to get certain values. It's a way of subsetting a data frame. So for example, in a list slicing, so there's a list, I call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. So ls from 2 to 5. So this is a slice. This is the list slice. I slice it from the item with index 2 to the item with index 5, not excluding the item with index 5. So item with index 2 is 3, then this index 4. No, this is index 3, this is index 4. So I get 3, 54, and 6. 3, 54, and 6. Okay. So that's index slicing of lists. So now we want to just slice the data frame. Alright. Sort the index of temperatures in index. Sort the index of temperature index. Oh, SRT is sorted. Sorry, there's another plane flying overhead. Hopefully that wasn't too noisy. Temperatures in dot sort index, like we learned in the last exercise. Alright, next one, subset rows from Pakistan to Russia. Then we will subset rows from Pakistan to Russia. Temperatures sorted from row from Pakistan to Russia. So .loc, sorry, another plane. Okay, I'm back to Russia. I'm not 100% sure whether this works. We can try it. Rows from Pakistan to Russia should be okay. I do that, and then subset rows from Lahore to Moscow. Lahore to Moscow. From Pakistan, Lahore to Russia, Moscow. It says to slice at the outer level, first and last can be strings. Slice at the inner levels, first and last should be tuples. This should be a tuple. First should be a tuple. And this should be a tuple. So this tuple should be Pakistan, I guess. And this one should be Russia. Oh, this one's saying try to. Okay, let's just submit the answer here. Let's see what happens. Did you use the LOC method to attempt to? Okay, attempt to. So I'm just supposed to attempt to do it. And I guess it will fail. And it wants me to fail. Okay, so let's just do that. Okay, yeah, it wants me to fail. Alright. So yeah, so basically this is how we get a certain subset of sorted multi-level data frame, multi-level indexed data frame. Another plane. Alright, so now it's already 2:01 p.m. Thanks everybody for joining us for AI4I live session. Again, I've been Ishan here. If you have any problems at all, make sure you put it right in the Discord channel. And me and everyone else will hopefully look at it and help you out. Okay, thanks for joining, and I'll see you guys next time. The link for the next session, again, it's going to be next Wednesday, 12 to 2 p.m. It was going to be 12 to 2 p.m. on Wednesdays. Link for the next session, you can find it in the Discord. You can find it on the Makerspace. You can find it on the Makerspace forum. In Makerspace forum, you go to the forum. If you don't want to join the Discord for some strange reason, you can go to the forum, community events, AI4I AMA live sessions, and then you can find the next session here. Okay, this is today's session. I'll update it to show you the next session's link. Or you can come join the Discord weekly live sessions. I always post the link here as well. Okay, and of course, I believe we also blast out the email to all AI4I learners every Wednesday as well. So no matter in which way you join, looking forward to seeing you the next session. Bye for now, and have a lovely Wednesday ahead. Bye.